Hi, I'm Mike Fink on the STS-134 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Endeavour, and a special good morning to you today, Greg.
Yeah, this is Box here. I think that's the Greg you mean. I love that song, and I love being in space. That song's a favorite of my son Matt's, and I know he and his family had a lot to do with sending that one up to us. It was a beautiful song. Matt, happy first day tomorrow. So I'm going to miss that one, but we'll catch up. And I want to say that's a perfect way to start an exciting rendezvous day.
Mark, we are ready for rendezvous block 4 Alpha.
This is Mission Control Houston, looking down the right side of Endeavour's payload bay, looking over the tail of the orbiter as it tracks northeasterly across Asia on this daylight pass that will take it shortly across the coastline in the northern tip of Japan before heading down on a southeasterly track across the Pacific Ocean.
Houston, working 4 Alpha. We're putting 5 Alpha in work as well.
Copy 4 Alpha and 5 Alpha.
And block 5 Alpha or 5A that you heard reference is a rendezvous operations initialization, essentially checking that the data processing system, the onboard computers have been configured for the rendezvous operations. They'll also set up a systems timer on board that essentially counts backward to match the clocks in mission control for the terminal initiation burn, the TIG for that burn, or time of ignition. About 3 minutes 40 seconds, an 8.5 change in foot per second change in velocity, about 5.8 miles per hour. Lasting 11 seconds using the left orbital maneuvering system engine on the tail of the orbiter Endeavour. And views of Space Shuttle Endeavour from the International Space Station cameras on the outside of the complex. This view from a distance of 50,800 feet. The two spacecraft moving into an orbital sunrise here as they head skirt along the upper western coastline of Africa. And less than 1 minute now to the terminal initiation burn, a left orbital maneuvering system engine firing of 10 seconds. The OMS engines each produce about 6,000 pounds of thrust. 10 seconds to the burn.
Good burn, Endeavour.
Roger, good burn.
With Endeavour 34,000 feet behind the International Space Station, closing in at a rate of 11 miles per hour. The next in the series of mid-course correction burns upcoming in about 15 minutes. Endeavour's now 8,800 feet from the International Space Station. The closing rate about 7 miles per hour. That'll be slowed significantly with the upcoming mid-course correction burns. There are 2 remaining mid-course correction burns as Endeavour closes in on the station. Also reports that the detailed test objective, the storm, automated rendezvous and docking experiment is going very well. The vision navigation sensor, flash LiDAR, and high definition docking cameras are working fine. The trajectory control sensor has acquired the target.
We think MC3 is a no-burn.
We concur, Endeavor.
And with that call, the third mid-course correction burn is not required based on the trajectory of Endeavor to the International Space Station. And we're standing by for confirmation of initiation of transfer from the plus R bar to the plus V bar. The R bar is the radius vector, an imaginary line directly from the space station down to the Earth, and the V bar is the velocity vector. Known as by its acronym of TORVA, which stands for Twice Orbital Rate V-bar Approach. Endeavor on its way up to the velocity vector. Should arrive there about 37 minutes or so after the hour, about 10 minutes from now. Clock's continuing to target a docking of 6:16 a.m. Eastern Time, about 48 minutes from now. Station Flight Director Dana Weigel now pulling her team for a go, no-go for docking. Endeavor is now 400 feet from the International Space Station, midway through the transition from the R-bar up to the velocity vector, the V-bar, repositioning under the control of Shuttle Commander Mark Kelly as he flies Endeavour out in front of the station to align itself on the V-bar with the docking port on the International Space Station.
Houston, Endeavour, for RPOP, we've changed to DP to DP, and the handheld laser 453 checks with TCS.
Box, we copy.
Headed into an orbital sunset approaching the northwest coast of Australia. Endeavour is now 310 feet from the International Space Station. Commander Mark Kelly now establishing the orbiter in a stable position on the plus V-bar, the velocity vector out in front of the ISS. Flight Director Gary Horlocker now pulling his flight control team here in the shuttle flight control room for a go for docking. The crew, meanwhile, is in the process of powering up the orbiter docking system. Crew from this distance no longer needs the KU band dish antenna in the radar mode. They're swapping it back to the passive mode for communications. And we're expecting television views from Endeavour on approach in about 11 minutes. In the meantime, we do have views now from the International Space Station looking down, or actually looking out toward Endeavour out in front of the station with the payload bay floodlights illuminating the shuttle's payload bay. View of the orbiter docking system with the ring extended. That obviously is the first contact with the docking port on the International Space Station. Once all of the dispersions have settled out after initial contact and capture, that ring can be retracted back down into the orbiter docking system, and whereby they can establish a good connection between the two spacecraft before beginning all of the necessary leak checks before hatch opening. Standing by to reach the 30-foot point, and point at which Commander Kelly will stop the initial progress, forward progress of Endeavour, to allow all of the plane alignments to take place before initiating the final approach to docking. A view looking through the centerline camera of the orbiter docking system, looking directly forward at the docking port on the International Space Station. Centered in that image is a docking target that allows for proper alignment prior to the final push to dock. Approaching 10 feet, the orbiter docking system. In the lower portion of the view, the station's docking port, the pressurized mating adapter attached to the Harmony module of the International Space Station. At the top of the view, you also see the European Space Agency laboratory. Standing by for contact and capture.
Houston and station, capture is confirmed.
Space Shuttle Endeavour arrived at the International Space Station 14 minutes after the hour. The ring has been fully retracted now, and now the hooks are driving to the closed position to create a tight seal between Endeavour and the International Space Station. Very smooth rendezvous today by the crew of Endeavour, particularly the manual flying of Commander Mark Kelly. Following the R-bar pitch maneuver, the maneuver to allow station crew members to gather photography imagery of the space shuttle. All of that will be sent to the ground as soon as possible for analysis by the imagery analysis team here in Mission Control.
Complete through step 4.
And he then transitioned to manual flying up the to in front of the station for the final approach to docking. The docking coming as the two spacecraft tracked off the west coast of Chile, tracking northeasterly. And then with final approach and contact and capture occurring at 5:14 a.m. Central, 6:14 this morning Eastern Time. Endeavour and its 6-person crew settling in for a more than 10 days of joint operations between the shuttle crew and the station crew, the Expedition 27 crew of 6. On the other side of the shuttle's hatch on the aboard the International Space Station, Paolo Nespoli and Ron Guerin working through the procedures on the station side to begin pressurizing the pressurized mating adapter on the other side of the hatch there. That small tunnel adapter leads to another hatch that on the other side of that is a small vestibule. All of that has to be equalized in terms of pressure between the two spacecraft before the hatches can be fully opened.
Hey, you guys wore coordinating shirts. We didn't do that.
That's okay.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good. Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you. Welcome. Hello. Come on. Dude, I mean,
I will include in subgroup to Saturn.
But this one,
Move things around here.
Mission Specialist Drew Foistel flying through the station's Destiny Laboratory following Commander Dmitry Kondrachev, who just passed by a moment ago, and here comes Flight Engineer Paolo Nespoli, also of the Expedition 27 crew. Space Shuttle robotic arm back in motion. You can see the Express Logistics carrier moving away from the Space Shuttle's cargo bay, and beginning to be able to see as well the alpha magnetic spectrometer in the back of the cargo bay. Main cargo brought up by Endeavour for this mission. Graphic at the in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, the Space Shuttle's robotic arm along the bottom of the screen with the Express Logistics carrier in its grasp, moving upward toward the Space Station robotic arm in the center of the screen.
Endeavour for PDRS, the SS RMS operator. ELC handoff position is reached, no issues. Brakes are on, you are go. Repeat, go for SS RMS grapple.
Cupola copies, we're go for SS RMS grapple.
This is Mission Control Houston, a view here from cameras on board the International Space Station. Back now with a view of the Space Station's robotic arm, which is in motion, again heading towards the Express Logistics carrier to grab onto it and take it off the hands of the Space Shuttle's robotic arm. Greg Johnson and Greg Shamatoff are at the controls of the Space Station's robotic arm, and as you heard, ready to move in for the capture. Flight control team here in Houston reporting that capture of the logistics carrier is now in progress with the space station's robotic arm in position to grab onto it. Once they do have it grappled, the space shuttle robotic arm will be able to release it and move away so that the space station robotic arm can begin moving it into place on the port truss segment. View here of the express logistics carrier with both arms now attached. At the top is the space shuttle's robotic arm, which is just under 50 feet long. And along the bottom of the screen, the space station's robotic arm, which is more than 57 feet long. The space shuttle robotic arm can handle up to the equivalent of 65,000 pounds here on the ground, and the space station robotic arm up to 255,736 pounds. This again is being controlled from the Space Shuttle's robotic workstation on the flight deck of Endeavour by mission specialists Mike Fink and Roberto Vittori.
And Houston, cupola on the big loop. We just wanted to check out a clearance view before we proceeded.
No issues. We're with you.
Express logistics carrier still in the grip of the space station's robotic arm, making its way towards the port side of the space station's truss. That's the Cubo side. If you're used to seeing it from the shuttle's point of view, with the Harmony Node and Destiny Laboratory in the center, and the Columbus Laboratory on the starboard side, and the Cubo Laboratory on the port side. Flight control team, or flight controller here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Team. They are in charge of monitoring the operations of the space station's space shuttle's robotic arm as it deploys or retrieves any cargo from the space shuttle's cargo bay. So they were involved in today's unberthing of the express logistics carrier.
And Houston, this is the cupola. The UMA mate is complete, and with that, congratulations to the whole team, and special thanks to the guys on the shuttle side, Mike and Roberto. The ELC-3 is successfully installed.
And ours?
And from the other Greg here, congratulations everyone. With ELC-3 installed, we now have enough spare equipment on the station to keep it running smoothly for many years after the shuttle retires. We really appreciate all the great work by the robotics team and also our mech team for making sure this went so smoothly today. Thanks a lot. Congratulations, everybody.